Hello. Today I would love to talk to you about the newborn sequences and the transition that mother and baby do after birth, which is big transitions into something completely new. And we have this footprint imprinted in us from the womb that we will carry out if the birth and the time after birth is undisturbed. And these are things that I wanted to talk a little bit about today because I feel that this is a subject that is very under communicated and we never talk about this. And most women doesn't know about this. And they just allow their hours after birth to be completely disturbed. And of course, there are different types of disturbance. I mean, in a home birth, your family, your midwife, it's something different than disturbances in the hospital. To understand this better, it's sort of like we have from we're in the womb until we are 18 months, approximately. We have this implicit memory, which is sort of like a memory inside ourselves, like in the cells in our body, that we remember things and our body remembers. But from 18 months, we have this explicit memory, which is sort of like the memory that we're thinking about now when we're adults and we see things, we feel things, we hear things, we remember things. But this implicit memory that we get from we're in the womb until when we're our birth, when we're newborns, it's a memory that we carry with us in our body, in our subconsciousness. And it's sort of like we can react to things, but we don't really know why we're reacting. And this is when this memory comes into play. So that's also why it's very important that when we're pregnant, when we give birth in the newborn stage, that we sort of try to make it as less stressful as possible and that we have good feelings around what's happening. So birth is something that is meant to work even if no one was there. So if I was giving birth and there was no one else present, probably I would give birth on hands and knees or in semi or upright position, and the baby would be born down to the ground. Sorry, and the baby would be on the ground, and I would look at the baby, but I would sort of need a pause because the birth, we don't know if it was short or long, but anyway, the birth is something very strenuous or blissful, but it's a big thing, and we need this pause. We need a few seconds, minutes to pause just to exhale the birth before we can inhale the baby. And there is something about this that we need to be ready to take the baby to us. And the mother is taking a pause, having the baby on the ground. The baby is maybe crying or it's maybe quiet, but when the mother is ready, she will start touching the baby, just see that it's okay. And when she's completely ready, she would take the baby up to her chest. During this pause, the baby is also born. And I mean, the transition for the baby is huge. It's coming from a fluid-filled environment into air-filled environment. And that's something very big, much bigger than we ever think about. It's very tight, it's warm, it's fluid. And come out is lots of space, it's colder, and the lungs that has been full with fluid is now going to be filled with air. So as we know, the placenta contains almost half of the baby's blood supply when the baby is born. So the transfusion of the placental blood or the baby's blood from the placenta pulsating through the cord is happening a lot easier when we keep the baby underneath, like lower than the placenta. And this would happen naturally if the baby is born, it's on the ground, the mother is taking a pause, the baby's getting the blood transfusion lower than the placenta. And all this blood coming into the baby is giving the baby oxygen, is coming into the different organs, perfusing the lungs, and forcing the alveoli, which has been fluid filled. And now the fluid has been squeezed out from the alveoli, and now air is coming in. And this transition is like, for some babies, it's just like crying and then it's going on, it's fast. But for some babies, this is a longer process. It can take a couple of minutes. And that's completely fine, because the baby is still getting oxygen from the placenta for around 3 minutes. So if the baby's quiet, you see that it's been a little bluish, but it's pinking up. And it's not crying, but it's awake. Just let the baby have a pause. Let the baby integrate the sequence of birth. It's a huge thing. Because we're so fast to take the baby, put it on the chest, stimulate, dry it with towels, like talk to it, touching it. Like what? That would be so overwhelming. Just let the baby have a small pause. And then when the mother is ready, she can take the baby up to her chest. And only for the baby, when the heart rate is stabilized, the respiration rate is stabilized, and the blood pressure is stabilized, only then can the baby move on to the next sequence. And this can take a few minutes. I mean, this can take a little while, because babies are slow. So let's think about, like, when we're doing a meditation or a relaxation and we're getting very slow. Our brain waves are flattening out because we're going into a more state of presence. This is where the baby's at. Baby is present in the now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. And very slow. So we also have to be present, and we have to be very slow. We have to go into the rhythm of the baby, and it's slow. And we're so fast. We're all the time fast. We're fast, 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 fast. But we also have to be slow and understand that the baby is slow. So baby is doing something, baby needs to pause to integrate. Because when baby's doing something, all this neural firing is just poo, 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 poo. Lots of things happening. Pause. Integration. So when the first sequence is over, the sequence of birth, pause. Coming to the skin, to skin with mother being touched, is integration, pause. And then now the next thing is like the breast crawl. For the baby to like start moving its small feet and going towards the breast, which it can smell. Because the baby can't see very well, but it can sort of see the breast, but smell it more. So the baby will start, when it's ready, start crawling towards the breast. And this is where we have to be patient. Because this is a very important sequence in the newborn sequence. And when this happens at birth, first of all, when a baby is born and it's not breathing immediately, what are we doing? Are we breathing? No. Everyone's holding their breath. What are we telling the baby? To hold his breath? Yeah. So we have to take a breath and be present. And then the baby can take a breath. And the same with the breast crawl. It's like we can't be impatient. We can't be like starting to like trying to heal ourselves because we're a group of people that never got to do the breast crawl. So inside ourselves, we are just like wanting to do the breast crawl that we never got to do. We have to just sit down, relax, and the baby will find its way. And we just have to stand, like looking at it being clumsy and slow and never getting there and missing and missing and missing. But in the end, it will not miss, it will find its way. And that's when the new sequence can start. That's when the baby's getting to suck on the breast. It gets endorphins and oxytocin through the skin to skin, the colostrum. The mother gets oxytocin, the mother is full of endorphins, and this beautiful bonding thing can start. We can relax, and the bonding, familiarization, everything that happens in this moment. And we're calm, and the mother is calm, the baby is calm, and they're just both integrating what's happening and bonding to each other. And this is important, that this is undisturbed, and that just the disturbances that the mother allows, and not at the same time, like what happens in the hospitals. What's happening when all of this is happening in the hospital? Yeah, then there's drawing of the vagina, it's pulling on the cord, it's pushing on the uterus, it's pulling and looking for bleeding, it's uncomfortable, it's light, it's talking, it's touching the baby, it's stimulating, it's drying, it's all these things. And it's happening every day. And why? Because we don't have time. We're so fast. We want everything to happen so fast. We want to check, we want to be in control, we want all of these things. Just need time. And when all of this, the breast feeding has happened, they feel calm, present, bonded. Then the baby can go into a newborn sleep. From like 2 to 6 hours, normal baby can just sleep and integrate and rest. And this is a very good time for mother to rest and for everyone to be resting. And during all of these sequences, what's happening is like a loss of neural firing in the brain of the baby, of course. All the reflexes turn on, the baby repatterns, integrates, the sequences organize, and in this presence, this calm presence, there the healing, there the repair of the birth and things that happen can begin. Because only in a state of presence can we have healing. And maybe you're now like thinking, well, I never got to do this. What did I do to my child? Like, I had a C-section, or no one told me about this, or there were complications. But it's never too late to do it one more time. If you have a C-section, you're getting your baby 4 hours later, do it. Be skin to skin. Let the baby crawl to the breast. It's 1 day old. Do the same. 6 months. Do the same. 1 year. Do the same. You can always heal this process. Because when the brain sort of recognizes what's happening, it will immediately go back to the sequence and try to heal it. So you have your baby skin to skin, letting it crawl up, find the breast, and there you have already healing happening. And if the baby is unsettled, if the baby's crying after birth or later, it's the baby trying to tell you its story. And this storytelling we need to listen to. And the baby is telling the story, and we need to validate the story. We need to say, like, I hear you, you know, you had a struggle, or that was a big deal. And we're just acknowledging what the baby has been through. And through this storytelling, and the baby feels that it's being listened to, there we have the growing of empathy in this, like, being heard, you know. So that's so important. Or if we don't listen to the baby, it will just tell its story again and again and again until we manage to listen, which we sometimes do, sometimes we never do. But the baby will continue telling its story. So it's good to listen to the story immediately, and then we can hear what they have to say. So I hope that you got some new information today, and that there is things that you could bring with you further to your birth, or if there's some other people, women, you can share this information with. And that we can start talking about this more and tell people about this, so that maybe some things can change and babies have a better few hours after birth. So thank you for listening, and I will see you very soon. We'll talk about something else interesting. Bye.